Alright, y'all, this is how you seal these bolt holes up when you're mounting your outboard. A lot of guys will use silicone. Don't use silicone. Use this right here, 3M 4200 fast cure. Don't use 5200. That's probably what you're going to be able to find a lot easier, but 5200 is way too permanent for this. It's more of an adhesive that happens to seal. This is a sealant that happens to be an adhesive. This is like a medium strength adhesive, but you can still remove it. It's not permanent at all. And then the 5200 is way too permanent for this. Like, it'll take gel coat off with it when you go to remove these bolts. And you can see I sealed that. Excuse the dirty boat, but I sealed that right there with this 4200, and I've used it a lot before and it works well. But yeah, get some of this. And oh, a trick to keeping it from hardening, because this stuff will set, the fast cure will set up in the tube after you open it. I mean, it starts setting up. What you do is you seal it up with some HVAC tape like that, and then double wrap it in a plastic bag. I already took one of them off, but you double wrap it in a plastic bag and then put it in the freezer. And I know it sounds weird, but if you put it in the freezer, it stops it from setting up, and you can use the tube later. I mean, you can do it a couple times. I had a tube, I had left it for like a year, and the stuff was still good, but I don't know if I'd recommend you go that long, but that's a good trick. It does work. But yeah, we're going to put some on these bolts, these stainless bolts, of course. We're going to put some on the shanks of them, and then of course this one, and then the two down in the bilge area. Let's see if I can. And this is our setup. We got the old motor off. It's over there. And it's dirty, I know. It's an old boat, but the concept's the same for any boat. We're gonna fill these holes. Somebody elongated the holes for some reason. They're not exactly perfectly round, but it's not rotten. The transom's not wet or rotten. I mean, it's rock solid. But what we're gonna do is coat the shanks of them, you know, seal it up really good. You don't have to put it, don't put it all around the bracket. That's completely pointless. I mean, seal the holes up good, and then, you know, maybe put a bead around it if you can even get to it. But you definitely want to make sure they're sealed up good. You don't want it leaking into the transom. And then do the same with these down here. But yeah, like I said, make sure you use 4200 fast cure, because the regular 4200 takes like a week to cure. This takes like 24 hours, something like that. Like 30 minutes till it's not tacky anymore, and then like 24 hours it's fully good, but it cures in the presence of water. And you can remove this later. You don't have to sit there like silicone and scrape it and scrape it and scrape it and scrape it and still have the oily residue, because this will never stick. I mean, it won't stick on top of the old silicone. You got to sit there and scrape it and clean it with soap and water and try to get all that old silicone crap off, and it never comes off. I mean, it takes forever. So use this. You can also get it in a caulk tube. I don't have a caulk tube, but it's a 10-ounce caulk tube of this stuff. Might be cheaper to buy it that way if you got to do a lot of stuff, but I'm just doing this. And then I sealed around here. It's good for bedding stuff too, like sealing this up so it don't get water behind it, you know, sealing bases of seats, rails, stuff like that. Bilge pump, exit holes, through hole fittings, stuff like that. Stuff that you want to be able to remove in the future, but don't use 5200 for this. It's gonna be way too permanent. I mean, it would work just fine, but it's way overkill. And if you gotta take it apart, I mean, if that's all you can get a hold of, I mean, I guess go for it, but I would rather look for this. But yeah, it's a good trick to put it in the freezer. The refrigerator might work, I don't know. I never did it in the refrigerator, but the freezer definitely works. Just make sure you seal the end good and clean out the tube. Oh, don't use alcohol to clean your surfaces before you use it, because it won't set up in the presence of alcohol, rubbing alcohol or anything like that. So don't use alcohols, but a good trick is get a rag wet with a little bit of alcohol, and it'll take, if you make a mess, it'll clean up the excess, like down here. Excuse the dirty boat one more time, but it'll clean up the excess and make it look real pretty. Like right here, see how clean that, wow. It did a pretty good job. I mean, the alcohol dissolved it, but yeah, that's how you do it. Seal them up really good. There you go, guys. Like, subscribe if this helped y'all out. If you enjoyed the video, share it with some other buddies who like boats and motorcycles, stuff like that. Later.